Classifications of law. Law can be classified into public law and private law, municipal law and international law, statute and judicial precedent. Criminal law and civil law. Generally, law can be classified into public law and private law. That is to say, if law is not private law, such law must be public law. Law can be classified into municipal law and international law. If law is not municipal law, that law must be an international law. Law can be classified into statute and precedent. If law is not statute, that law must be a precedent. Law can as well be classified into criminal law and civil law. That is to say, if law is not criminal law, it must be a civil law. It is important to note that all the classes of law are subsumed into criminal law and civil law. Any law that is in existence in the society can either be criminal or civil law. That is why there are two major proceedings in the court: criminal proceedings and civil proceedings. Public law. This is the law that regulates the relationship between individuals and state. It could also be regarded as law that regulates public activities or public affairs in the society. In addition, public law deals with issues that affect the public or state. These are the components of public law: constitutional law, administrative law, and law of revenue. Constitutional law. Constitution law is the supreme law of the land, which regulates the structure of the principal organs of government and the citizens. Constitutional law could also be regarded as law that regulates the activities of the principal organs of government and safeguards the rights and liberty of the citizens. It is constitutional law that establishes the three arms of government: legislative, executive, and judiciary arm, outlines their functions, powers, and also equally places limitations on their powers. It is also the constitutional law that guarantees the fundamental rights of the citizens. Without the constitutional law, no one can make claim of fundamental rights. During the military regime, where the constitution is usually abrogated, the fundamental rights of the citizens are equally thrown away. That is why there is always violation of fundamental rights in military system of governance. Administrative law. This is the law that regulates the activities of governmental agencies. Administrative law deals with those laws that regulate the formation and operation of the governmental agencies. In other words, administrative law could also be regarded as law that regulates the activities of all the agencies of the government and as well acts as a check on the exercise of their powers. The legislative arm enacts laws, but they do not usually specify how those laws should be used. Government uses agencies in order to administer the laws. These agencies use rules and regulations to determine how a law will be applied or enforced. Each agency of government is responsible for enforcement of certain policies and laws. These are some of the government administrative agencies in Nigeria. Nigerian Police Force, NPF. This is a principal governmental agency established for full implementation of laws. They ensure that people obey the law. They have power and the authority to arrest and prosecute any person who committed criminal offense. National Agency for Food and Drug Administration Control, NAFDAC. This is also a governmental agency created for the purpose of ensuring full implementation of government policies and laws in respect to the safeguard of public health of the nation. NAFDAC is mandated to regulate and control the manufacture, importation, distribution, advertisement, sale, and use of food, drugs, cosmetics, chemicals, detergents, and packaged water. Thus, in order to enforce this law made by the National Assembly, NAFDAC will draft some rules and regulations for its implementation. So these rules and regulations are what we regard as administrative laws. Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC. This is also a governmental agency established for law enforcement in relation to money laundering. EFCC is established to investigate, arrest, and prosecute for financial crimes, advanced fee fraud, and money laundering. Independent corrupt practices and other related offences. Commission, ICPC, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Federal Character Commission, Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, and many other administrative agencies of the government in Nigeria. However, there are administrative laws used to curtail the excesses of governmental agencies such as habeas corpus, mandamus, certiorari, prohibitory order and injunctions. Habeas corpus. This is an order from the High Court which is used to compel the police to bring someone in police custody before the court. Certiorari. This is an order from the High Court which is used to quash the judgment of lower court when it is wrongly decided. Mandamus. This is an order from the High Court which is used to mandate governmental agency to perform their public function. Prohibitory order. This is an order from the High Court which is used to restrict governmental agency from performing an act. Law of revenue. This is also a public law. Law of revenue has to do with the law that regulates taxation and also stipulates the sources of revenue for the tiers of government. Nigeria operates federal system of government with 3 separate units. In accordance with Section 14(2)b of the 1999 Constitution, security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of the government. Because of the fact that this is a lofty goal that requires funding, government has to create areas where they can generate revenue to ensure welfare and security of the people. Revenue is usually generated by imposition or assessment of tax. In other words, imposition or assessment of tax is the means by which the government obtains the revenue required to run its activities. Governments usually do this by imposing monetary charges on persons, entities, transactions, or property to yield government revenue. Revenue of the government usually comes in terms of taxes, levies, fees, and other charges. Honestly, without the law of revenue, there could have been conflict among the 3 tiers of our government, and there may be challenges of multiplicity of taxes and levies. Thus, in a bid to stem the challenges, National Assembly enacted the Taxes and Levies Approved List Collection Act, 1998, where taxes and levies collectible by the tiers of government were spelt out. For instance, federal government collects companies' income tax, petroleum profit tax, value-added tax, education tax, etc. State government collect personal income tax, both pay as you earn and direct taxation, business premises registration fee as defined by state, which is maximum of 10,000 naira for registration and 5,000 naira per annum for renewal of registration, and so on. Local government collect taxes and levies on shop and kiosk, tenement rates, on and off liquor license fees, slaughter slab fees, marriage, birth and death registration fees, excluding any street in the state capital, right of occupancy fee on lands in the rural areas, excluding those collectible by the federal government and state government, motor park levies, domestic and animal license, and so on. Private law. This simply has to do with the law that regulates the relationship between individuals in their day-to-day transactions or interactions. It could also be regarded as law which is not public law. Municipal law. It simply means country's own internal law, not law received. It is the whole local law or internal law enacted in that particular country. For instance, Nigerian municipal law comprises Nigerian legislation, both law enacted by National Assembly, State House of Assembly, and bylaws of the local government council, decree, and edicts. International law. This has to do with the law that regulates the relationship between the state and other states in the international society. International law could also be defined as law that regulates the activities of both state actors and non-state actors in the international society. It equally regulates the activities of international organizations like Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, United Nations Organization, UNO, African Union, AU, and so on.